Good afternoon. Thank you for waiting. Sorry for the little delay there. Thank you, Senator Hagan, for coming over from Judiciary. Welcome to Health Coverage Insurance and Financial Services. We have three public hearings and 2 work sessions today, but I'd like to first start with the committee introducing themselves. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Anne Marie Mastracchio. I represent House District 142, which is part of the city of Sanford and the village of Springvale.
Good afternoon. I'm Rolf Olson, District 86, which is Raymond, Castro, Fire Island, and a bit of Poland.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Foley. I represent House District 145, which is most of the town of Wells. And I thank Senator Hagan for running over here and letting us get started.
Senator. Want to introduce yourself? Thank you.
I am Dave Hagan, Senate District 10, 12 towns surrounding Bangor, but not Bangor.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Representative Mary Grace Chimino. I come from House District 83, which includes Bridgeton, Harrison, and Denmark.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Representative Poppy Arford. I represent State House District 101, and it's only the western part of Brunswick.
Good afternoon, Michelle Boyer. I represent House District 123, which is most of Cape Elizabeth.
I'm Sally Clucci. I represent House District 52, which includes the communities of Bowdoin, Bowdenham, and Richmond.
And I'm Christy Matheson. I represent Kittery District 151, and I am the House co-chair. And you'll just pardon our people coming in and out a little bit. No one had any time to eat lunch, so they're going to kind of try to get something in their bellies while we go through this. But we are certainly listening, and we certainly will be looking at all of the testimony that we have for our public hearings. We're going to start out with LD 1990, an act to update the requirements for psychology licensure. And I would like to invite the department to come up and introduce the bill, since our sponsor is not here at this point in time. Thank you, Penny. Make sure you sign the podium and yeah, I look forward to hearing about the bill. Thank you.
All right, great.
Welcome, Ms. Valancourt.
Thank you very much. Well, good afternoon, Representative Matheson and members of the committee. My name is Penny Valancourt, and since I last appeared before you, I have transitioned from the role of Deputy Director to the Director of Office of Professional and Occupational Regulation, which has oversight over 38 separate licensing boards and programs, including the Board of Psychologists. Thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony on behalf of OPOR regarding LD 1990. Senator Bailey was the sponsor of this department bill, and upon my appointment as director on June 1st, I met with a few licensing units. And this is one board in particular that needed some immediate attention. And that's why we drafted this proposal for your consideration. And I'll speak to that a little bit more in my testimony. As you have heard before, a licensing board's sole statutory purpose is to protect the public. And it does so by identifying minimum standards for licensure, investigating allegations of unprofessional or incompetent practice, and imposes discipline when deemed appropriate. The board issues licensure to individuals seeking to practice either as a psychologist or as a psychological examiner upon meeting the educational, examination, and in some cases, practicum requirements. Currently, there are 822 actively licensed psychologists and 20 actively licensed psychological examiners. This bill proposes to remove a 6-month waiting period for an individual seeking licensure who has successfully completed the education and postdoctoral work experience and competency-based examination requirements, but for whatever reason did not, at least on the first attempt, pass the board's jurisprudence examination. The current process for obtaining licensure is for an applicant to file an application, submit documentation verifying their education, experience, and as noted before, the national exam requirements. And they also have to pass an open book jurisprudence state board examination. If the applicant fails the exam, then they cannot obtain licensure for at least 6 months, even after they subsequently pass the jurisprudence examination. Currently, there are 4 applicants seeking psychology licensure who have successfully retaken the board's jurisprudence exam, but who must wait until the 6-month window expires before board staff can issue the license. This bill takes one small step towards modernizing and streamlining its licensure requirements and a step towards reducing barriers to increase access to behavioral health professionals in Maine. In closing, I would respectfully request that the committee consider adding an amendment to this bill by removing the same 6-month waiting period as found in the licensure qualifications for that of a psychological examiner as found in Title 32, Section 3831. Again, thank you for the opportunity to share our support for this bill, and I would be happy to answer any questions now or at work sessions.
Thank you, Ms. Valencourt. Questions from the committee? Representative Boyer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Ms. Valencourt. How frequently can they take, so if I take the test and I fail it, then is there a waiting period before I can take it again?
It's 30 days by board rule.
Okay, so you could have, then someone passes it and then they're waiting.
Right.
Got it. Thank you.
Representative Chimino.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And is there a limit on the number of times they can take that
For
exam?
the jurisprudence, I'll get back to you in work session, but I don't believe there is a limit, but I need to get back to you on that.
Okay, and what about for the psychological examiner?
That's administered by the national organization, so the board doesn't have control over the retake policy, but I can get the retake policy for you at work session.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Representative Arford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Quick question. If I took the exam and I passed, how long do I have to wait for licensure just in the normal state?
If you have a complete application, you pass the exam within that same day.
Okay, so it's immediate.
Yeah, there's no delay.
Quick follow-up. What's the thinking behind the 6-month wait?
I think this is a reflection in my humble analysis. There are a number of practice acts within OPOR that need modernization. This is one, and this is a very small step to modernization, but it was compelling when we had an applicant who spent X number of years wanting to stay in Maine to provide behavioral health services, but had to potentially lose a job and wait 6 months before board staff was authorized to issue an otherwise qualified individual license to practice psychology in Maine. So this is heartfelt by board staff for sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Representative.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That was pretty much the same question that I was going to ask, which was, I just didn't understand what were you going to do in those 6 months? Like sit around and
It's a timeout
it,
period.
because you failed it once and I mean, that's what, it just doesn't make sense.
And again, you'd have to go back, I think, through
Yeah, I
a
was trying
very
to-
long legislative history, but I anticipate that kind of retake policy was based on a national examination, but because we've moved towards third parties
Right.
to administer those exams, that 6-month waiting period really serves no purpose other than to prevent someone just to move forward on licensing.
So this is kind of like an artifact, something that we might find in a lot of these practice acts. that
Correct.
Given time, we should be able to go through and do them all like.
Given a
like-
solid OPOR strategic plan, we will identify those for you.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Representative Foley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Congratulations, by the way, well
Thank you for
deserved.
that.
What do other states do as far as, do they have similar jurisprudence exams and do they have different standards? And do we have a compact with other states?
We do have a compact with a site compact. These are those who are not participating in the site compact but want a main license. So I don't have the data on a state-by-state analysis about who administers their own jurisprudence, but I'd be happy to try to bring that back for work session.
Representative Foley.
Yeah, I'd just be concerned if we do something different and it would impact our compact with other states, but
Such a great question, and that's always an eye on the prize for us, is not to interrupt any other licensing pathways. This is an arbitrary wait out period from our analysis and won't impact our ability to participate in the compacts.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Representative Chimino.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So let's say a person does not pass the exam, but is allowed to practice regardless. The fact that they haven't passed doesn't matter. What would induce that person to ever take the jurisprudence exam again if if they can still work and they don't have to have passed that exam?
So this bill doesn't allow an individual to be licensed without passing the exam. So perhaps I'm not being clear on what this proposal is doing. Happy to clarify. But this bill is simply removing a 6-month waiting period for someone who has passed the exam to obtain licensure. Right now, if you initially fail the jurisprudence, you have to wait 6 months.
This is if they passed it. They'll have to take.
Can you turn on your microphone?
And then they've passed it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank
We are
you.
not licensing individuals who do not pass exams.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Any additional questions for Ms. Valencourt? Seeing none, thank you for your
Thank you very
time.
much.
Appreciate it. I'd like to open up the floor for anybody in the room that would like to testify in favor of LD 1990.
Good afternoon, Chair Matheson, members of the committee. Nice to see everyone again. My name is Kate Knox. I'm an attorney at Bernstein Sher, and I'm here before you today very briefly on behalf of the Maine Psychological Association. I want to thank Ms. Valencourt for communicating with us. We were aware of this one specific situation and her sort of commitment to address it. So just saying to you on behalf of the association, it makes sense. And we support what she said. So we're looking forward to more modernization. This is certainly a great first step. So happy to answer any questions if I can, and appreciate your attention.
Thank you. Questions from committee members? Seeing none, thank you for your
you.
time. Is there anybody else in the room that would like to testify in favor of LD 1990? Is there anybody in the room that would like to testify in opposition to LD 1990? Do we have somebody online in support? Okay, great. Yep, we can bring Jeffrey over. Thank you.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes, thank you. Welcome, Jeffrey.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, I'll proceed with my my testimony. So I don't know how I don't sign in like everyone else.
Thank you.
So until today, I have not participated in direct democracy beyond my vote in the election process. I do consider it both an honor and a privilege to be able to do so, and I would like to first thank the members of this committee for the opportunity to speak and to offer testimony on the proposals or the proposed legislation. So my name is Dr. Jeffrey Keller. I'm a psychologist, and I'm here to speak about LD 1990 enact to update the requirements for psychology licensure. I'm here before you not only as a clinician, but as a husband, a new father, and someone who has deliberately chosen to build a life and career in the state of Maine. Although my wife Natalie and I moved to Maine in July of 2023, my relationship with the state actually goes back a good deal further. I spent much of my childhood here, traipsing through its woods and streams, learning to swim, camp, hike, and really developing a lifelong relationship with the outdoors. Maine is where I proposed to my wife. It's where we made a conscious decision to put down roots and build our family. For those of you who don't know, the process of becoming a psychologist is a lot like that for medical doctors. It's applications, essays, high stakes interviews, and at the end of it all, an algorithm releases a name and a location. So I was absolutely thrilled when I was matched for my doctoral residency with the Counseling Center at U of Maine. And it turned out to be a wonderful year for my wife and I. We found community quickly, friends, colleagues, and really a sense of belonging. By the end of my internship, staying in Maine was an easy decision. I wanted to continue serving here and to deepen our commitment to our community and to the state. So in keeping with these aspirations, I worked to secure a postdoctoral fellowship, and I was hired by Psychology Specialists of Maine. I spent the year commuting regularly from Bangor to Brunswick to meet the demands of the position. It was not easy, but my wife and I, we made that choice deliberately. We wanted Maine to be our home. We decided to start our family, which was something we'd wanted for years, but had been rendered an impossibility due to the constraints of both of our graduate programs on our finances and just our time. So in January of 2025, this past year, in the middle of my postdoc year, we learned we were expecting our first child, and we saved aggressively, we planned carefully, and in June, we even purchased our first home, setting our nest up. By August, we were settled. The nursery was ready. We'd fenced in a yard for our dogs. I'd passed the national examination for professional practice in psychology, the EPPP. I took the Maine jurisprudence exam on August 18th, and shortly after I learned that I had failed by a single question. And I want to be really clear about something. I take full responsibility for that failure. I did not meet the standards on that attempt, and the standards exist for an important reason. Psychology is a profession that requires guardrails. Public protection matters. Gatekeeping matters. And I don't question that. But what I didn't anticipate and what fundamentally altered the trajectory of my family's life was learning that failing the exam rendered me statutorily ineligible for licensure for 6 months, even after I passed it a month later. So at that moment, I had completed 12 years of education and training. Apologize. It was 4 years of undergraduate, 2 years for a master's, 4 years for my doctorate, and 2 years of clinical supervision in practice. So I passed the exam. I had secured employment. We had a home, and in 6 weeks I was going to be a father. And because of the requirement, I couldn't practice independently or earn a psychologist income. And my family is dependent on me. It's easier writing this.
You're doing great.
Yeah.
We appreciate your experience.
Yeah, thank you. So when I passed the jurisprudence exam, it was difficult. It was just a month later. Nothing had changed about my competence. Between the date I failed by one question and the date I passed, all that changed was the calendar. And so over the past few months, I've experienced firsthand the consequences of that delay. My wife is back at work. We face the medical bills from complicated delivery, a mortgage, student loans, and now child care expenses. And the financial strain, it doesn't disappear when licensure is granted. It's going to follow us for years. So I asked the committee to consider what public protection is really achieved by the 6-month waiting period. If the examination is intended to ensure competence and the applicant subsequently demonstrates that competence, what is gained by continued ineligibility? What harm is prevented? And conversely, what harm is created? My experience may be single, but it is not unique in structure. Any early career psychologist who fails the jurisprudence exam, regardless of training, supervision, or subsequent performance, faces the same automatic penalty. It is 6 long months, and this penalty is not imposed in neighboring states. I did look it up. It's not imposed on clinical social workers. It's not imposed on professional counselors in Maine. It's not imposed anywhere else in New England. during my ineligibility in Maine, I was actually able to become licensed in Massachusetts. And when I had explained that the nearest in-person jurisprudence testing site was 3 hours away, as they require you to take it in-state, the Massachusetts board waived my requirement. That flexibility exists because the Massachusetts board has discretion. The Maine Board of Examiners and Psychologists does not. And that's because the 6-month prohibition is written into statute. That distinction matters. It not only causes personal harm, but it places Maine at a competitive disadvantage in recruiting and retaining psychologists, particularly early career clinicians who are deciding where to build their lives. And so for those who are not already anchored by a home or family, the rational choice may simply be to look elsewhere. I'm here before you with a deep respect for the democratic process and for the rule of law. I believe in the legitimacy of regulation, in professional standards, and in the idea that laws, when they are just and necessary, deserve to be upheld. I do not take lightly the opportunity to testify here. In fact, I feel honored to have cause to participate in this process and to speak directly with people entrusted with shaping Maine's laws. At the same time, democracy depends not only on creating statutes, but on revisiting them. Laws that no longer serve their intended purpose, that impose harm without corresponding benefit, or that hinder rather than help the public good should be examined honestly and when appropriate, removed. That willingness to revise is not a weakness of the system, it is one of its strengths, and I believe that this amendment is one such strength in action. I respectfully ask the committee to vote in favor of the amendment. I believe that doing so does not lower the standards or weaken public protections. It simply restores discretion to the Board of Examiners of Psychologists and removes a statutory barrier that delays qualified clinicians from serving the people of Maine. I really love this state. My family is committed to it deeply, emotionally, professionally, and financially. My hope is that making these changes will allow Maine's licensure process to reflect the values it otherwise demonstrates: fairness, pragmatism, and responsiveness to the gaps in the workforce, and ultimately the needs of its citizens. I thank you for your time and for your consideration.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Are there questions from committee members? Seeing none, thank you for your service and we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
There's nobody else online, right, Edna?
No.
Is there anybody in the committee room that would like to testify in favor of LD 1990 that we have not heard from? Anybody in the room that would like to testify in opposition to 1990? Yes. Oh, okay. She was looking at me like I wanted to know. Is there anybody in the room that would like to testify neither for nor against? Seeing none? Does the committee have comments? Yes, Senator Bailey.
Thank you.
Sure.
I'm giving you the look,
Yes, she is.
like my dog at the dinner table.
She's giving me the look.
But I'm not looking
That's
for a
really
treat.
funny. I have peanuts.
Okay, thank you. Madam Chair, thank you. I would like to make a motion that we suspend the rules and go directly into work session.
Second.
Great. We have to vote on that, don't we? Can we do it by the show of hands? All in favor of moving directly into a work session? Great. So we are moving into a work session. Yes, Representative Strachio.
I just wanted to state that I'm in favor of adding the amendment for the examiner piece.
Mhm.
And I have no problem with voting. It is emergency, so it could go
Great.
perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Additional discussion by committee members. Senator Bailey.
Wasn't sure if that was a motion, if it was,
it a motion?
I know,
don't-
if it wasn't,
I will move that we do that amendment and
To pass as amended.
passes as amended.
And I will
Yes, thank
second
you. I
that.
forgot. It's
Okay.
been a while. Usually I'm the ONTP.
Yeah.
So we have a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion by committee members? Seeing none, I think we can take a vote. Edna. Seconded by Senator Bailey. We'll get our feet under ourselves. We will. Just take us a couple of times.
Senator Bailey.
Yes.
Senator Bailey, yes. Representative Matheson.
Yes.
Representative Matheson, yes. Representative Alford.
Yeah. Yes.
Representative Alford, yes. Representative Boyer,
Yes.
Representative Boyer, yes. Representative Shimino,
Yes.
Representative Shimino, yes. Representative Clucci,
Yes.
Representative Clucci, yes. Representative Flynn,
Yes.
Representative Flynn, yes. Representative Foley,
Yes.
Representative Foley, yes. Representative Mastracchio,
Yes.
Representative Mastracchio, yes. Representative Olson,
Yes.
Representative Olson, yes. 10 members of the committee having voted in the affirmative and 0 in the negative.
Great. Seeing, I can't remember how we end this. I think our public hearing is ended because our work session is ended. Close the public, well, close the work session and the public hearing. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now I'm. All right. Thank you. Yes, thank you for that good work. All right, I'd like to open up the public hearing for LD 1998. An act to authorize registration for certain cash dispensing machines through the nationwide mortgage licensing system and registry, and to limit the use of certain cash dispensing machines as a virtual currency kiosk. And I'll introduce, lovely to see you, Ms. Conti.
Nice to see you all back. My name's Linda Conti, Representative Matheson and Senator Bailey and members of the committee. My name's Linda Conti and I'm Superintendent of the Bureau of Consumer Credit Protection. And I'm here today to testify in support of a department bill that we put in to change the way that we regulate, or not that we regulate, that we handle the applications of money ATM machines. So there are ATM machines that are owned by banks, and that's a separate category that the banks take care of. And then there is this category of what we call non-bank ATM machines. And you may see them in a convenience store. You may see them at businesses that don't take that only take cash. They may have a machine in the business and you can go in and use it as an ATM. So we have over 2,000 of these units owned by about 500 different companies throughout the state. And so they get licensed with us by hand the old-fashioned way. And this summer, when I was answering the phone at the Bureau, I was getting a lot of calls from people who were like, where is my license? I sent in the check and you cashed it or you lost it and we didn't get our license. So I was like dealing with a lot of this. And I'm like, one guy even said to me, and he was like working, he was running a seasonal store down on the coast saying, scooping ice cream and saying, why can't I just go online and look and find out where my license is? So I thought, I need to streamline this. I need to make this more user-friendly. I want to try to get this onto the NMLS system. And when we did do a bill before I came to the Bureau, there was a bill done to put a lot of our licenses onto the NMLS system, and this was not one of them. So I decided I wanted to do this session, even though it's not a first session.
That acronym, N what?
And national.
Did you have a question?
It's
Representative.
yes. Sometimes
I'm
it's
sorry,
called.
I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
My bad. I'm rusty, first day back. What is that acronym for?
Sometimes it's called the National Multi-State Licensing System, and sometimes it's called the National Mortgage Licensing System. It was originally set up just for mortgages, but now it's expanded to take many different types of financial registrations. So what I want to do is try to have a more streamlined way, a way people can go online and check the status of their license, a way that they, can, probably there'll be bumps along the way, but my goal is to get it to be sort of easy and streamlined and better for everybody in the long run.
Thank you.
Although it may cost a little bit more for them because they'll have to pay, we're not raising our fees. They will have to pay a fee to NMLS. And it is one of these situations where all the big national companies are already doing it and the smaller ones are going to need our help getting on the system, which we've dealt with before in other industries. But I just think it would be better for everyone, for my staff and for the public, if we reined in this process a little bit and made it more orderly.
Thank you. Questions from committee members? Representative Lucci.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your testimony and for bringing this forward, trying to solve a problem. When we were talking about the national nationwide mortgage licensing system a while ago, I thought I remembered businesses having like a lot of trouble with sort of onboarding into the system, and it required like you'd have to have like a business plan and all sorts of other stuff. Are you gonna help figure out how to, when you say you're gonna
Yes.
handhold, you're gonna help them work through this so that it's easy?
Yes, absolutely. Like we did with the payroll processors, which was a big one a year or two back when they were some of the smaller companies were upset about the change. But they're also upset right now about the way that we're doing it not very well the other way. So my goal, my goal is to get a period of upsetness and then smoothly running process, because that is a harder process for them the first time they do it. But once they're on there, all they have to do is press a button to renew. They don't have to send in anything paper to me to keep track of. So.
Representative.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I used to work in the NMLS system, so if you need an extra hand, just give me a holler.
Oh, good. Yes, we always need help.
I did have a question, though. I'm assuming that this will really streamline it for your office and make things much more efficient for you if we can get these folks onto the NMLS system.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Thank you.
And if I may, I mentioned the Bitcoin piece of it. There was a time when we called the Bitcoin kiosk Bitcoin ATMs. And I don't want these non-bank ATMs, which are just normal ATMs, to get confused with that. And I also want businesses that are seeking a license with me for a regular ATM to ask a question when they get these machines, like, what else can this machine do? Because if it can do a Bitcoin kind of currency transaction, it needs a different kind of license. And so I see these small businesses, like my own family's small business, getting, hey, put this machine in your business and we'll help you. People can use it as an ATM and we'll split the fees with you. And that might be attractive to a lot of small businesses, but I want them to know you should be looking at what that machine can do before you agree to put it on your premises, because as time goes on, these machines get more sophisticated and they have more functions. And that was, when I first came to the Bureau, that was a big thing. We had these Bitcoin ATMs and we thought they were just ATMs, and it took some investigation. It took a while for us to learn that they were doing something altogether different. So I just wanted to flag that as an issue. I don't want people to get confused by the vocabulary and the language there.
Thank you. Representative.
So what you just said there, I guess my question would be, in your legislation and in your language, can't you limit that license to just cash dispensing machine?
Yes, that's what we're trying to do. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So the other is superfluous in there. The Bitcoin and stuff is superfluous because that's not cash dispensing.
Right. It's not, but it clarifies that it's not. It clarifies there's a difference between an ATM that can do money transmission and an ATM that's just dispensing cash.
Thank you.
Representative Chimino.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for being here. So how can you monitor if a machine ends up going from cash and they now incorporate the Bitcoins in there? How would you know that after they've been licensed?
Well, in two ways. One, I would ask them when they apply, what does this machine do? That will come in through the system. Are you applying for an ATM, or, are you applying for a transmission of cryptocurrency kind of thing? So it might get weeded out during the licensing process. And if it didn't, it might get weeded. The only way we would know would be if we got a consumer complaint. Hey, I went to the ATM and such a store and I was able to, buy Bitcoin and transfer it far away and lost my money. If we get a complaint, then we would investigate it. But if we didn't catch it through the licensing system, what kind of license are they applying for? Are they applying for the right kind of license? Then there would be no way for us to know.
Representative.
So then is there going to be some type of code written where there's violation for that and they would be fined if they did transition and to include the Bitcoin in that?
Right. Well, what we would first do is we would educate them. We would say, hey, we found out you're doing Bitcoin and not just ATM stuff. So you fix it, get the right license. Or, you know, the first thing we would do is talk to them about it. And then, you know, if there was like a widespread problem, like we sometimes seen with people losing a lot of money, then we would have to take more action. But right now, what we're trying to do is make sure that everybody that needs a license gets it or needs a registration gets it in the most expedited fashion and gets the right kind of license that they need for their business.
Representative Foley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you very much. Would this apply to renewals or new or both?
Both.
Thank you.
Additional questions from the committee? I just had a quick question. So you had indicated there are 2,000 ATMs statewide?
2,211 units, but there are 588 owners.
Okay.
And, you know, like one of our owners, because I talked to the staff today, one of our owners has 200 units. So some of them are big, some of them might be just a guy with one. So some people lease their units, some people buy their units. I mean, there are different ways that people do it.
How do you see that roll out for your department in terms of trying to take care of 2,200 ATM registrations?
Well, first of all, we're
course.
in renewal season right now, so it won't apply until next year. And so that gives us all summer to sort of figure this out, send them letters. This is what's coming. It's going to be here in December when we start renewals for next year. And we'll do the best we can with the rollout like that. Yes. It's not going to happen overnight so that people will have they should be able to see it coming and we'll be able to answer their questions.
Great, thank you. Any additional questions? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you very much for your time.
I'd like to open up the floor to anybody who would like to testify in favor of LD 1998. Do we have anybody online, Edna? For testifying? No? In favor? Thank you. Is there anybody in the room that would like to testify in opposition to 1998? Is there anybody in the room that would like to testify neither for nor against? Seeing none. And is there a motion on the floor for?
I'd like to make a,
Oh, you're right. Sorry. Hold that thought. She's not there. She's not in there. So how do we do that procedurally if we want to maybe suspend the rules? Okay. Go right ahead. Representative Foley,
I'd make a motion that we open the work session
suspend the rules and
and all that stuff.
we can't even vote on that. Yeah, we've got to wait. Okay. So can we take a vote on tabling it? No. So we have to end the public hearing. Okay. So we can't do any votes. We can't suspend any rules. So we are going to close the public hearing on 1998 and hopefully come right back to it when we have a senator. So let's open up the public hearing for the last bill that we're hearing, LD 2072. And I'd like the department to come up and introduce the bill. The bill title is an act to make changes to the laws governing financial institutions and to eliminate certain administrative fees paid by banks and credit unions under the Maine Consumer Credit Code. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go right ahead.
So, thank you. Representative Matheson and members of the committee. My name is Chase Hewitt, and I'm the staff attorney for the Maine Bureau of Financial Institutions. On behalf of the Bureau and the administration, I'm here to testify in support of LD 2072. This bill was drafted by the Bureau and proposes various technical changes to the laws that impact banks and credit unions in the following manner. First, the bill corrects a drafting error in the Elder Financial Exploitation Program that was enacted last session by clarifying that the act applies to individuals 65 years of age or older, or adults protected under the Adult Protective Services Act. And as written, the law contains conflicting definitions of eligible adult, referring to both the ages of 62 and 65. So the change proposed by the Bureau removes the conflicting reference and aligns the definition with what we believe is the original intent of the legislature. For background, that program aims to protect Mainers from financial exploitation by allowing a bank or credit union to delay a disbursement from an account of an eligible adult if they reasonably believe that disbursement would result in financial exploitation. That institution may also report the instance to the Maine Office of the Attorney General or local law enforcement. The bill also updates the definition of the term supervisory agency in the Maine Banking Code to capture all current and future federal financial institution regulators. Moreover, the bill proposes to extend the time period for the Bureau to publish notice of orders issued by the superintendent from 5 days to 14 days. Orders issued by the superintendent, such as an order approving a bank merger, must be published in the local newspaper. At times, the short 5-day period has proven challenging to coordinate given the variety of newspaper publication requirements. And for that reason, the Bureau is seeking extra time while still ensuring adequate public notice is still given for orders issued by the superintendent. LD 2072 also amends the approval requirements for boards of directors of mutual banks seeking to increase their compensation. Currently, compensation for the directors of mutual banks is approved by the bank corporators or by the superintendent. Under Maine law, other banking charter types, such as your traditional investor-owned institutions, don't have to seek superintendent approval to increase board compensation. So the bill simply removes the superintendent as an option, leaving the approval decision to the corporators and aligning mutuals with other banking charters under Maine law. Next, the bill seeks to eliminate assessments paid to the Bureau by banks and credit unions based on their volumes of consumer loans. Originally, volume fee assessments were intended to compensate the Bureau for its role as the co-administrator of the Maine Consumer Credit Code. However, the primary source of revenue for the Bureau is the examination fees and assessment fees based on assets, and the Bureau is determined it can perform all duties, including co-administering the Consumer Credit Code without the additional compensation for the volume fees. And this change is part of a Bureau's ongoing initiative to reduce the overall fee burden on banks and credit unions in Maine while continuing to fully fund Bureau operations. And lastly, the bill provides that when a Maine chartered credit union participates in a loan, the loan borrower must be a member of any one of the participating credit unions and not necessarily the Maine chartered credit union. And that any real estate securing the loan need not be located in the state. So please note that participation is a term of art in the lending industry, referring to a practice where one institution is joining other institutions in funding a single loan. And the Bureau is aware that there may be a friendly amendment following proposed by the Maine Credit Union League that expands on the change I just mentioned above, and the Bureau has no issues with this inclusion. So thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I'm happy to answer questions now or come back to the work session. Thank you.
Very much. Questions from committee members? Seeing none, thank you for your time.
Great. Thank you.
Mr. Hewitt. I'd like to open up the floor to anybody in the committee room that would like to testify in favor of LD 2072. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Representative Matheson and esteemed members of the Health Coverage, Insurance, and Financial Services Committee. My name is Jared Gay, and I'm the Director of Advocacy and Compliance at the Maine Credit Union League. The Maine Credit Union League is the trade association for Maine's 48 credit unions, financial cooperatives that proudly serve more than 750,000 members statewide. We respectfully submit this testimony in support of LD 2072. This bill makes a series of thoughtful, targeted updates that modernize Maine's financial services laws, reduce unnecessary administrative costs, and align state statutes with how institutions and regulators operate today. We are also offering a proposed amendment, as you just heard, that builds on the same goal of modernization and alignment. Today, Maine law allows state-chartered credit unions to make mortgage loans only when the real estate securing the loan is located in Maine. That geographic limitation no longer reflects how Maine people live and work. Many Mainers own second homes, retire, or relocate across state lines. They often want to continue working with their Maine-based credit union when they do so. The amendment we are proposing would simply remove that outdated geographic restriction and allow state-chartered credit unions to participate in loans across state lines. State-chartered credit unions would still be subject to all the same safety and soundness standards in current law, as well as examination and oversight by the Bureau of Financial Institutions. This change is also about parity. Federal credit unions already have the ability to make mortgage loans secured by out-of-state property. Our proposal allows Maine chartered credit unions to serve their members on equal footing without expanding risk or weakening regulation. This amendment allows Maine credit unions to serve Maine people wherever life takes them, using the same responsible lending practices that already apply. We appreciate the Bureau's thoughtful work on this bill and look forward to working with the committee on the amendment as the bill moves through to a work session. Thank you for the time and opportunity to testify, and I will happily answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Mr. Gay. Questions from committee members? Yes, Representative. Sometimes your mics don't turn on when mine is on.
Thank
I
you.
don't know why.
I have not had an opportunity to read the legislation in completeness. Is there a residency requirement? These are for Maine residents who are members of your credit union that have property that they own out of state?
That is an excellent question. I don't have that. I think that's what's in the current proposal. I'm not sure if that would be reflected in our amendment. I can certainly get an answer for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Follow-up question?
Sorry. Thank you.
Additional questions from committee members? I was just curious, what's the history around this property being located in the state? Why was that? Do you have any idea what the history is?
I can make an inference. I don't have the full history. I know that, we have 12 of our 48 credit unions are state chartered. My assumption would be that was just how it was originally put in statute because of how credit unions were, originally meant, or state chartered credit unions were intended to serve at first. But I think that, as we know, Maine communities and their lives have changed. I mean, me, for instance, I was a member of the University Credit Union, still am when I was at the University of Maine. And a lot of the folks that go to that school don't live in Maine, right? And so if they still wanted to participate with that credit union outside of the state, if they left the state or stayed here, they could do that. So I don't know the full history, but I'd be happy to try and find some
Just
information for
curious.
you. I will say that it doesn't seem like many other states have similar geographic ties to what their state chartered credit unions can and can't do. So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Additional questions from committee members? Seeing none, thank you for your
Yeah,
time.
excellent.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
testimony. I'd like to open up the floor to anybody in the committee room that would like to testify in favor of LD 2072. We don't have anybody online for, yep. Is there anybody in the room that would like to testify in opposition to LD 2072? Anybody would like to testify neither for nor against LD 2072? Seeing none, do I have any comments before I close the public hearing from the committee? No? All right. I will close the public hearing on LD 2072. And we had wanted to maybe make a motion on LD 1998, but we didn't have a senator. in the room to make a motion. So procedurally, how do we do that? Colleen, can we just? Okay. Representative Foley, yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we did close the work session, didn't we?
We did close it, yep.
And make a motion that we reopen the work session on LD 1998.
So we're suspending the rules and going into a work session for LD 1998. Is there a second on that? Great. Is there a discussion around this bill from the committee members? Seeing none?
Quickly, like, show hands for the work session.
Oh, right. Since the senator's here, we can actually do that now. Thank you, Colleen. Discussion? See a motion? Yes.
Yeah,
Representative.
I believe that the department has come forward with a really a good proposal to streamline their operation, both for the department and for the consumer. So I'll make a motion that we ought to pass.
Second.
So we have a motion on the floor, ought to pass, and seconded. Any discussion from the committee?
There may be potential for an amendment to add fiscal note. So assuming if there is, with the committee's permission, it will become on to pass as amended, just simply to add that fiscal note.
Okay.
I don't anticipate one, but just in case I wanted you to.
Thank you. So we have a motion ought to pass as amended and seconded. Is there any discussion around this from the committee members? Yes. Representative Clucci.
Thank you. I just, in supporting this, I know that it's going to be bumpy at start, so I just really want you to do everything you can to make it as easy as possible for the little mom and pop stores to get this on board and get rid of all those barriers, or at least walk them through it. So, thank you.
Additional discussion? Seeing none, I think we can take a vote. Thank you, Edna.
Senator Bailey.
Yes.
Senator Bailey, yes. Representative Matheson.
Yes.
Representative Matheson, yes. Representative Alford.
Yes.
Representative Alford, yes. Representative Boyer.
Yes.
Representative Boyer, yes. Representative Shimino.
Yes.
Representative Shimino, yes. Representative Clucci.
Yes.
Representative Clucci, yes. Representative Flynn.
Yes.
Representative Flynn, yes. Representative Foley.
Yes.
Representative Foley, yes. Representative Mastracchio.
I'm a yes.
Representative Mastracchio, yes. Representative Olson.
Yes.
Representative Olson, yes. 10 members of the committee having voted in the affirmative and 0 in the negative.
Thank you very much. And we will close the work session on LD 1998. Just wanted.
All right, so we'll just take a moment and set things up for our work sessions. We'll get going.
2072.
2072. We did that. Rules on that. Okay. I think. No one made a motion to do that. I kind of wanted to.
Yeah, I've seen her. I was glad that did it.
See, it was one that didn't do the work session was mine. Yes, as a Monday. Yeah. This one.
I know. It's,
Is that, we have Colleen?
yes, these are ones that came near the end of last session, and then we decided to carry them over, give people a chance to meet and work on. So yes, so it didn't really get in my brain. Yep.
Fresh memories, hopefully.
Okay, so we have two work sessions this afternoon, LD 1901 and LD 1915. I guess we'll just start with LD 1901, and if Colleen, if you could just kind of briefly refresh our memory. Thank you.
So LD 1901 is an act to regulate shared appreciation agreements relating to residential property. And the committee members might recall, this was a bill that came in close to the end of the committee's work at the during the first regular and first special sessions. And because I think of the timing and the committee's recognition that there would be a need for some additional discussion among the stakeholders involved in the legislation, including the Bureau of Consumer Credit Protection, the committee asked to carry the bill over, but at the same time asked that the Bureau of Consumer Credit Protection issue an advisory ruling related to shared appreciation agreements to provide some interim guidance as to how those products would be regulated over the interim, and then also to allow time for additional discussion among all the stakeholders. The Bureau of Consumer, just for your information, I think this was shared with you earlier in the interim, but they did issue an advisory ruling. So I do have this to go into your folders, just to kind of, for the record keeping purposes. You need to have a copy of that. Thank you. So you can see that step was accomplished at the committee's direction. And it's my understanding that the Bureau has engaged in discussions with stakeholders around the legislation. And the purpose really of today's work session was to have an update from the superintendent of the Bureau of Consumer Credit Protection, Superintendent Conti, to update the committee on where things stand. And then the committee can make a decision as to how to proceed. So I think that's all I'll say. And perhaps the superintendent can come up and give the committee the update on their discussions.
Thank you. Any questions for Colleen? Everyone kind of reoriented to where we were at.
Yeah.
All right. With that, then Superintendent Conti, if you wouldn't mind coming up and.
Yes, and Representative Bell, responsible bill, is also here and has been kept in the loop on what's going on.
Okay, great. Great. Thank you.
Well, I may have bitten off more than I can chew, I promise, but I would tell you that Sarah is here. Sarah represents 4 of the businesses that want to engage in this type of mortgage lending in Maine. And last night we were on the phone with her and representatives of the National Consumer Law Center. And we have been trading drafts back and forth. We have complete agreement in principle on what this bill should look like, with some tiny bit of wordsmithing left to do. And I think we can get there in a week or less. So I'm very, it has been a great process working with both teams and helping put them together and talk about this bill and come to agreement on something.
Okay. So if we put this on for work session Wednesday next week, you think you'd be ready?
Yes, I do. I said to Sarah, we want to keep the heat on them, right? We don't want them to get too long of a time, because then they'll go off and do other things. But yes, I feel confident that that would work. That's all we need.
Okay. Questions from committee members?
If you have technical questions, I have Ed here to back me up. I mean,
Okay. And I think the technical questions will come when you all, have
Yes.
the language and you've done your part, and then we might have some questions, obviously, but all right. So is somebody ready to make a motion?
I just want to ask, it would be helpful to get whatever language you have prior to Wednesday's workshop.
okay, I can
session,
send
so
it to
that-
Colleen as soon as we have it.
That would be great, because it'd be nice to have it so we can sort of digest it a little bit and then be ready to ask some questions. So.
Okay, I'll be
Thank
in
you.
touch with you.
The sooner the better.
Mhm.
Definitely. All right, Representative Matheson.
I make a motion to table.
And is there a second? Seconded by Representative Olson. This is a motion to table, Edna. I don't know that we need to do the roll. All those in favor? And that is unanimous of everyone here.
Yep.
So we'll close the work session at LD 1901 and open the work session on LD 1915. And Superintendent Conti, you can stay up there because
That's what I just said.
we're gonna get to you
I
again.
think so.
Yeah.
So similarly, LD 1915 was a bill carried over from the first regular session, an act to regulate earned wage access services providers. Like LD 1901, I think the public hearings were held on the same day on those two bills or close to it, came in at the end of the session. And there just wasn't enough time for the committee to, I think, address the issues that were raised by stakeholders related to that legislation at the end of the session. So in a similar fashion, the committee asked the Bureau of Consumer Credit Protection to issue an advisory ruling related to whether these earned wage access providers were subject to existing requirements of the Maine Consumer Credit Code. That guidance was issued in June, so it was shared with you early in the over the interim, with the understanding that the parties would continue to have some discussions to see if there was an ability among the parties to reach any consensus on the language proposed in the original bill or any amended language for the committee's consideration. And so I think the superintendent can update you on sort of where those discussions are at the moment in terms of LD 1950. I would say that I believe Edna also shared with you, you've received a couple of pieces of testimony or additional written information that's come in over the last day or two related to LD 1915. So you'll see an email and some attached materials from one of the stakeholders about some additional changes that the committee could make if you move forward with legislation on this issue. And I'll stop there and defer to the superintendent.
Okay. Well, this has been a huge amount of work. We spent all summer meeting with industry representatives. We had our summer intern working on it. I mean, we've put a lot of time and effort into this project, as have the industry members, some of whom have flown up to meet with us, and we've had many robust discussions. We are not in the final polishing the language stage by a long shot. We have, a few big conceptual disagreements that are outstanding. But we are working on it. We are meeting. We have a 2-hour meeting scheduled for Friday. We will continue to work on it. They don't want to give up working it. So we are all happy to continue talking as long as it takes, and would sort of request that you give us a little bit of leeway, a week or two if possible, to continue where we're going.
So it sounds like with this one, not next Wednesday, but maybe the following Wednesday.
Right. If we can't reach complete agreement, our goal is to minimize the areas of disagreement and make that really clear what it is that's coming back that you're going to have to decide on, that are areas where we can't reach agreement.
Okay. Which that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Even if, you can't reach agreement on everything, then we can make those.
We have made
those
some progress,
last
yes.
Policy decisions. So
Yes.
That
Mhm.
still would be worthwhile in terms of
Yes.
having another work session,
Yes,
in
and
my
I know that
opinion.
Max and Charlie are here. They've been working with us
Mhm.
a lot.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of them lately.
We sent one too.
My condolences. I mean, that's wonderful. Yeah. Questions from committee members, comments? Yeah. Oops.
Before I make my motion,
Mm-hmm.
I would just like to say that I appreciate the work that you all have been doing together, because I do think we end up with better legislation that is better than the uninformed up here trying to factor it out. So I appreciate all the parties working together, because it gives me a lot more confidence in what we're going to be voting on. So thank you. I'll move to table.
Thank you. Seconded by Representative Foley. All those in favor? And that's unanimous of those here. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Superintendent, for
Thank
all
you.
your work and your continued work.
Good to see you all back.
Yeah, look forward to seeing you again, I am sure.
Yeah.
Colleen, do you have anything else?
I don't have anything
Awesome.
else for the committee this afternoon. We do have several bills scheduled tomorrow for work session Wednesday, as we've been calling it. I think most, if not all of those will follow a similar format than what we just did. Sort of, a lot of them have been carried over for the purposes of requiring either the Bureau of Insurance to complete a report or stakeholders to meet. And so the plan, I think, is for all of those entities to kind of give the committee the update on where things stand for some of those bills. So some of them, I think, you'll find, some of them will be further along than others. And so that's the plan for tomorrow. I also tomorrow have a couple of things that the committee has received in terms of correspondence related to legislation that the committee voted on not to pass, but the committee asked for some additional communication. So I thought I would pull that all together for the committee. Yeah, just to let you know sort of what we've received so far in terms of feedback on some of the ONTP letters. We've gotten a few of those. I've shared those electronically, but I think sometimes it's good to just do it in a meeting, and then Edna can make sure that those things get into the folders from last year's legislation. So there's a few of those. LD 1470, the bill that had to do with Central Maine Power and accidents. We had some follow-up and feedback from them in response to the committee's letter. We also had a letter that we sent to the Bureau of Insurance asking them for some additional work and feedback related to clear choice plans and information on their website. We also asked the Bureau of Licensure in Medicine to develop a continuing education course about certain types of chronic infection and associated conditions, and they've done that. And so some of those things I thought I would share with you as well in terms of the work. And then you'll also be getting a presentation of a legislative study to start you off in the morning. The commission that Senator Bailey was a member of, or chair of, over the interim related to foreign trained dentists. That's the plan for tomorrow.
Anything else with the committee members? All right, so we are adjourned. We will see you all tomorrow. Very efficient today.